a man have sex with a sea monster, and fall in love with the monsters. Stay tuned to know the full video. The film begins by setting the stage many years ago, focusing on a man named Friend, a dedicated weather observer. He is chosen by the government to track the weather on a remote, mysterious island for an entire year. The task seems straightforward: collect data and report back. To do this, Friend is sent to the island by ship, where his house has already been prepared for his long stay. Upon arrival, Friend spots an isolated lighthouse. He and the captain of the ship head toward it, where they meet a man named Gruner, the lighthouse keeper. The captain, curious about the previous weather observer, asks Gruner what happened to him. Gruner casually explains that the forecaster fell ill and died. When pressed about the body, Gruner claims that he went out sick and never returned, possibly drowning. With this unsettling explanation, the captain leaves, handing Friend a gun for protection, warning him that the island is dangerous. Once inside the house, Friend discovers the weather observer's diary, which contains disturbing sketches, images of the lighthouse and strange, otherworldly creatures. The journal gives him an eerie sense that the previous occupant was not entirely alone. That night, as Friend settles in, he hears noises outside his door and finds what appears to be a strange hand slipping under the door. Horrified, he retreats to the basement and stays there all night. The following morning, Friend discovers strange footprints leading from his house toward the sea. Confused and alarmed, he decides to visit Gruner at the lighthouse. However, Gruner refuses to open the door, cryptically telling Friend that he should have left with the ship. Friend realizes that the strange creature he saw the previous night is likely still out there, and it will return. Determined to protect himself, he builds wooden barriers around his house and arms himself with bullets and a rifle. That night, the creature returns, and Friend shoots at it. But the creature is so large that Friend is forced to set fire to the woods surrounding his house in a desperate bid to keep it away. The fire forces the creatures to retreat, but it also threatens to consume his house. In the aftermath, Friend watches as his home burns, sitting beside a stone in despair. The next morning, Gruner emerges to gather water, seemingly unfazed. Suddenly, a creature approaches Friend. He instinctively points his gun at it, but Gruner intervenes, assuring him that it won't harm him. To Friend's surprise, Gruner calls the creature over, revealing that he has tamed it and made it his pet. Gruner invites Friend to stay at the lighthouse, where he can live safely with food and supplies. Gruner explains that the creatures may have tried to attack him at first, but after he trained them, they became loyal. Friend, baffled, asks why Gruner didn't leave the island when he had the chance. Gruner calmly replies that he doesn't want to return to the outside world. "This is my world," he says. "I am the king here. I can live and eat as I wish." Friend reluctantly accepts this strange reality, resolving to stay until the next ship arrives, which he believes will come in a year. Gruner assures him that no ships ever come. Yours was one of the rare ones. He also explains that the creatures only attack at night, so Friend will be safe during the day. Gruner leaves the creature on the roof, and it begins to weep. This sound draws the attention of the other creatures, who begin attacking the lighthouse. Gruner shoots at them, urging Friend to help, but Friend, too terrified, faints. Gruner fights off the creatures alone through the night. The next morning, Gruner awakens Friend and tells him that if he wants to survive, he will have to work. He will need to fight the creatures. Over the following days, the two men, along with the tamed creature, live in an uneasy, tense coexistence. They are simply surviving, not thriving. One night, when the creatures once again attack, Gruner locks Friend out and lets him fight alone. Friend defends himself, firing his rifle into the darkness, but he is exhausted and increasingly desperate. Days pass without another attack, and Friend begins to hope that perhaps the creatures have given up. Gruner, however, is less optimistic. "We killed many of them," he warns. "They will increase their numbers and attack again." Friend begins to feel sympathy for the creature living with them, an entity that seems more misunderstood than malevolent. He names her Aneris. Over time, they begin to feel a strange camaraderie with the creature, but their lives are still fraught with tension and fear. One evening, they forget to light the lighthouse, and the creatures return in full force. In the chaos, Gruner injures his foot, but Aneris heals him by licking the wound. Her saliva has the ability to heal injuries. Amid the growing danger, Friend spots a ship on the horizon. Desperate for help, he grabs a flare gun, but Gruner forbids him from firing it. "No one is coming," Gruner insists. Friend, on the verge of confronting Gruner about his growing doubts, is interrupted when Aneris, sensing Friend's desire to escape, turns on Gruner. Enraged, Gruner lashes out and beats Aneris, causing her to flee. Friend, now determined to leave, reveals to Gruner that the ship he saw is a Portuguese ship that passed through years ago. He believes there might be explosives on board that could help them kill the creatures. Gruner, though uninterested, refuses to join him on this mission. "Go alone," he says. But Friend doesn't give up. The next day, he convinces Gruner to help, and together they venture underwater to explore the wrecked ship. Friend finds crates of dynamite, but when the creature's young appear, he panics and signals for Gruner's help. Gruner, however, abandons him, leaving Friend to fend for himself. Desperate, Friend frees himself from his diving gear and barely escapes. Back at the lighthouse, they rig the dynamite in preparation for a final showdown with the creatures. Days pass with no sign of attack, and the cold sets in. Gruner grows frustrated. In a fit of anger, he decides to kill the female creature, Aneris, who had been their ally. He orders her to scream and summon the others, hoping to draw them into a trap. As the creatures approach, Gruner detonates the dynamite, killing them, but not without casualties. Both Gruner and Friend are injured, and Aneris is nowhere to be found. The next day, Friend learns the tragic truth. Aneris and the creatures never wanted to fight. They only attacked because Gruner's violence forced them into it. As Gruner points a gun at Aneris, she stares at him defiantly, refusing to obey. Enraged, Gruner shoots a child creature that had been playing with a bone ship Friend had made. As night falls, the creatures retreat to the sea, leaving a hollow sense of victory behind. Later, Friend confronts Gruner, accusing him of hiding the truth. He reveals that he knows who Gruner truly is, that he too was once a weather forecaster, the same one whose death was falsely reported. Gruner, unable to cope with the weight of his past, becomes unhinged. He storms outside only to be overwhelmed and killed by the creatures. Now alone, Friend has lived on the island for an entire year. When the captain and a new weather forecaster arrive, they find him in a wild, unkempt state. His hair and beard have grown long, and they mistake him for Gruner. Friend remains silent, not wanting to reveal his true identity. When they ask about the previous observer, he repeats Gruner's lie, that he got sick and died. Friend, now at peace, embraces his life on the island. He has found solace among the creatures, and in the end, it is revealed that Aneris and the creatures continue to live free in the sea, away from the world that once hunted them. The film closes with Friend quietly content, knowing that he and Aneris are the last ones left on the island, with no one to disturb their peace. Comment down your thoughts and don't forget to subscribe the channel. We are so close to hit 400 subscribe, so hit it hard.